Hey guys, welcome back to Words of War. My name is Jorge Guerra.
And I'm Sergio Guerra.
And today we're going to be reviewing the Expendables 3, starring Silvedter Stallone and a slew of other people that I'm not going to try to video right now. But, so Expendables 3 is a follow-up to Expendables 2.
Right. So, if you know the story on Expendables, pretty much group of mercenaries, they get hired to do different stuff. Essentially, it's just a big, huge reason to bring back together a lot of the old 80s and 90s action heroes, you know? And so, as far as story here, it's not much different. You know, they start off, the Expendables team is kind of withered down a little bit. It's a little smaller than it used to be. And they kind of do in jokes about how old they're getting about it, you know? And there's a new target that they have to kind of go after. It ends up being somebody from their past. If you've seen in the commercials, Mel Gibson is the enemy here, and so they have to go and get a whole new team going as well, you know, to be able to take them down. And of course, there's a lot of bad crap that happens there, and you know, between there and the end, just tons of action.
Stuff ensues.
Yeah, that's it. It's just lots of action everywhere. So, what'd you think?
I honestly haven't seen the first two films. This is
You haven't seen the first two films?
And I said having seen the first two films. So having seen the first two films, this is it's a good addition. You know, it's definitely in the spirit. For me, I felt some of the little "we're getting too old for this shit" kind of jokes are getting a little stale because it's the third time around you're hearing this, yet they're still doing it. So that was getting a little stale. It's cool to see these people back in it. So, you know, as always, they got Arnold Schwarzenegger in this, which is super cool. Harrison Ford comes out in this, which is like awesome for me because I love Harrison Ford. And then you know, Jet Li's back in the mix. So they have all these really cool people. Mel Gibson actually did a really good job. I thought he did a really good job in this as well. So it for me it was just a little slow in the beginning, and then it picks up. You know, so it's like it's you know it's not as fun as I would say the last incarnation of the series. But it's still there. Like if you enjoyed the other ones, you will enjoy this one as well. The new people, you know, like I thought because of the fact that there's so many people in this. I mean, just you can tell just from the poster, it's like a slew of people. But Ronda Rousey's in this. Keenan Letts isn't here too. You know, so as far as acting chops, you know, they weren't the greatest. You know, especially when you have people like Harrison Ford and Mel Gibson, and Kelsey Grammer was in here too, because you know Kelsey Grammer was in all those 80 action movies, but he's in here too, and he's a really good actor too. So you kind of see the differences in acting prowess. You know what I mean? But beyond that, it was a fun ride. I mean, it was a good time once it got going. You know, there's some unbelievable things that happen in this, but it was still pretty good. I enjoyed it. What do you think?
I agree. Overall, it was an enjoyable film. You know. I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. I didn't get to see the second one. So this seems a little bit more like the same type of thing I remember from part one. It seemed a little bit more, you know, solid as far as like the story of it, you know. Even though the story itself to me also felt a little bit stale. There wasn't anything really new in this film as far as, you know, how to tell a story of a bunch of people killing a bunch of other people, you know. But I think they did a very good job of once the real action got it started, it didn't really let up, you know. My only like regret is that they had such good elements in this film with the backstory of you know Sylvester Stallone's character and Mel Gibson's character, and it got explored for just one scene, which was really cool, where you kind of see them kind of like, you know, in a heated kind of like exchange, but then that was it. It kind of fizzled out, and I think if that would have been explored a little bit more, even with the rest of the team, because they kind of allude to things that happened in the past with like people's you know, like dog tags, you know, hanging in Barney's plane, you know, and why all that's there. It just seemed to me like if it had been explored a little bit more, it might have seemed a little bit more rewarding to watch all of this action and all that stuff. But you know, the beginning was kind of necessarily slow because they were introducing new characters, and like George said, we got tons of them. So especially the new characters got very little time. You barely get introduced to them, but they did have to.
I'll interrupt you for a second. Antonio Banderas was awesome in this. Just to throw that in there because you talk about the new people.
Right,
yeah,
right. So they do take some time to introduce these new characters, but again, you don't learn much of them. And it may be star power, or it may be just the fact that he is Antonio Banderas. But when Antonio Banderas comes into the film, it's a completely like wake up call again. He's very funny in this. He's kind of taking the Jet Li like role, I guess, as far as like comic relief, but in a whole other way. There was some heavy-handedness, I think, in some of the story and all that, and every time he came out, you had to hear the Spanish,
yeah.
So I don't think it was meant as just a joke. I just found it hilarious because I'm like, come on, man, there's got to be other soundscapes or something you can use besides the obligatory like Spanish guitar. But anyhow, he was hilarious. He really brought a lot to it, and overall, especially towards the end, the action really picks up and it stays interesting. And that's really, I think, why most people would go watch this movie, anyways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so as far as rating, I would go with a strong 7.5. It's not something that I'm gonna rush out to go buy. You know what I mean? And it's definitely not for everybody. So but if you've liked the films before, you'll have a good go at it. You'll have fun in it. Again, I think my highlight for it was Antonio Banderas. I thought he was really cool in this. But yeah. What did you think?
I'm very, very close to you right here. I think I'm giving it a 7.5, but I do, I'll say it with a grain of salt to some people because some of the story, like I said, it was a little stale. The jokes were a little stale here and there, and so I found it entertaining. But I think a lot of it is because we grew up with these action heroes, so just seeing them all kind of go at this again and all that is just fun for me, like as a kid that grew up with these people. Yeah. So I don't necessarily know if the 7.5 would hold true for like the newer generation, or generations. I mean, but But I still think it's pretty entertaining. I mean, if you're a teenager to an adult, I think you can go in there and really just sit down, turn off your brain for a little bit, and have some fun, So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if you've seen it, let us know what you thought of it. If you were a fan of this before. Also let us know if between these guys, who would you really like to see go head to head, toe to toe, and who do you think would win? But again, as always, like, subscribe. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. But again, my name is Jorge Guerra.
And I'm Sergio Guerra.
And y'all have a good one. Bye.